Tomorrow is June 1st. Are the Dolphins going to do anything? And what should we be looking for them to do? What is up, Finn fans? Going to be talking about June 1st. What it is, how it works, all that good stuff. And I'm going to mentally prepare you because I think a lot has been talked about it, but I don't think we necessarily understand what might happen. But before we jump into that, I want to say that I got more tickets to the Atlanta Falcons preseason game. So I have 3 sets of tickets. 3, which means 3 of you guys are going to win 2 tickets to the Atlanta Falcons preseason game, August 11th. AMPeace8787 hit me up on Twitter. He DM'd me. He was like, hey, I saw that you are giving away tickets. I got 2. So 3 people are going to win 2 tickets. And I did find out how to do a sign-up sheet. So I'm thinking when we get closer to training camp, so like middle of July, let's say, yeah, let's do end of June, middle of July. I'm going to put the drawing so you guys can sign up, and then I can give away some tickets. And if you want it sooner, maybe I'll do it sooner. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an event, like an upcoming event. That would be cool to do. I'll go live for, and then give some tickets away. This is crazy. I've never gave football tickets away. I know it's preseason. Some people are like, preseason, Doug. Who gives a flip about preseason? Hey, you never been to a football game, regardless if it's preseason or not. It's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. So there's that. And then one other thing I want to talk about before we jump into June 1st, and that is that the Miami Dolphins will have 2 teams that they are going to have joint practice with. The Texans will host the Dolphins for their joint practice August 16th to the 17th in Houston before game 2, a preseason game 2. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud and wide receiver Tank Dahl get multi-day works with Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, and Dolphins DB, plus Laramie Tunsil and a Miami Dolphin reunion. I don't think we could thank Laramie enough for what he has done for this Miami Dolphin organization. So those are 2 little updates I got for you guys. Now let's jump into this, right? Before I get into all the semantics and numbers and who and what and where and all that stuff, I want to say this about June 1st. First and foremost, June 1st, essentially, it's the way some contracts work that they kind of get like retroacted, or something triggers in some of these contracts. With June 1st, you save more money. That's why with like Byron Jones, he was released, but it was designated for June 1st cut. So the Dolphins get $13.6 million. Same thing could be said for Cedric Wilson. Same thing could be said for a lot of NFL players. So you're probably going to see a lot of moves and cuts happen tomorrow. But I will say this before I get into all of this stuff, and it is a disclaimer. Do I still have my disclaimer? It is a disclaimer. Do not expect tomorrow to be like free agency. Don't expect as soon as 4 o'clock on June 1st, all of a sudden, boom, everyone's going to go out. Dolphins going to sign so-and-so, do this, do that. Boom, boom, they got the money. Oh, my God, they're going to do everything. Bah, 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 bah. No, don't expect it to be wheeling deal and everyone's making moves, this and that, because they don't have to be cut on June 1st. They don't have to be cut or released or traded at exactly 4 o'clock on June 1st. It's after June 1st. You can make the moves, and all of a sudden it's less, you save more money or less impact on the cap space. So I just want to say that, right? I don't want to get people's expectations that tomorrow it's going to be like free agency, wheeling and dealing. Your Twitter's going to be exploding with, so-and-so just went here, so-and-so. That's not what's going to happen tomorrow. So again, tamper your expectations and all that stuff. So I just wanted to get that over with. So right now the Miami Dolphins are sitting at $2.597 million in cap space with Byron Jones, they will be sitting 13.6 million. They will be sitting at $16.197 million in cap space. The first thing they're probably going to do is sign their draft picks. And that's going to cost exactly $3.8 million because they don't have a first round pick. They normally cost a lot more. So after all that's said and done, the Dolphins will have $12.397 million. So roughly $12.4 million in cap space to do whatever the flip flap and the flim flam they want to do. Now, what are those things? And that's where we get into the fun of it. That's where we get into speculation, opinions, all that stuff. Depth at defensive tackle. They lost John Jenkins, and he helped a lot, right? And, you know, Raekwon Davis, we don't know what he's going to really be doing. And then you have Christian Wilkins, Sealer, all that stuff. They need at least one more vet. Now, Akeem Hicks is a name that keeps popping up. Are the Dolphins going to go out and get him? I don't know. There's also Ndamukong Suh out there. If Ndamukong Suh, you know, he's a ring chaser, right? He got one with the Rams, and then he almost got one with the Eagles. If he thinks that the Dolphins are on the fast track to getting a Super Bowl ring, maybe he comes on here, but I doubt it. But Akeem Hicks is a name that I keep hearing, a vet to come in and, you know, kind of just be that placeholder, that guy that, okay, we need you on certain downs. All right, you're going to pay me about $2-3 million, and I'm not going to have to bust my hump, and there'll be incentives in that $2.3 million. Pass catching tight end, right? I think right now we have 4 tight ends. Yeah, it's off the top of my dome. Maybe add another tight end. There's some guys that are still out there that the Dolphins, and there might be some that are available in cuts that the Dolphins could go after, unless they're comfortable riding with Sorber and Smythe and Higgins and Tanner Connor. If they think, that we're good with that, then maybe they sit with it. But you might want to add another tight end, especially Camp. You don't know with Camp. But I will say this. Omar Kelly came out with an article kind of talking about what to expect with June 1st. And he threw some names out there that I thought were very interesting, right? Like he said Akeem Hicks, which I thought was interesting. But he said, or a linebacker like Anthony Barr, Rashad Evans, or Miles Jack. Which made me go, because you didn't hear much about the Miami Dolphins doing stuff at the linebacking core, right? They brought back like Duke Riley. They have AVG kind of doing some snaps at linebacker. Got the rookie, and then also Long Jr. But like if they brought in like an Anthony Barr, Rashad Evans, or Miles Jack for cheap too. Because he even says Miami signed vet pass rusher Melvin Ingram to a 1-year, $4.4 million deal last May after the draft, then added Trey Flowers in late August, signing pass rusher to a 1-year deal worth $2.1 million. There are still talented, capable free agents looking for work. Miami could use the cap space to put some finishing touches on the 2023 roster by adding 1 or 3. So he brought up linebacker. I wouldn't hate that move. I wouldn't hate that move at all if the Dolphins brought in a linebacker. And then, you know, I'm going to get to it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to get to it. There's Dalvin Cook, right? We all want to know. Now, again, do I expect tomorrow Dalvin Cook is going to sign with the Dolphins as soon as everything becomes available? No, that's not necessarily what's going to happen. But I will say this, right? There are rumors, and this is from Bleacher Report. Scott Palek, he wrote for the Minnesota Vikings. Dalvin Cook rumors. Teams believe Vikings will trade or release running back amid Dolphins buzz. And you're thinking, oh, Doug, this is pre-draft stuff. No, this was written May 28th. This was written 2 days ago. Dalvin Cook is still a member of the Minnesota Vikings, but there are still reportedly beliefs around the league that will not be the case by the start of the 2023 campaign. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler discussed, and Jeremy Fowler was also the guy who talked about that the Dolphins were trying to trade for DeAndre Swift, and then the Eagles pushed it over the top the Saturday, and the Dolphins backed out. Jeremy Fowler discussed the running back status during an appearance on SportsCenter and highlighted that prevailing thought while pointing to the Miami Dolphins as a possible landing spot. I'm told Dalvin Cook is down in South Florida working out. He's cleared off that torn labrum and had surgery this offseason. So he looks good to go, and he's sort of waiting his fate. I'm told the Vikings are willing to hold on to his $14 million cap hit for now until they figure out what to do. And again, like I said, don't expect June 1st to come, and then boom, Dalvin Cook is going to the Dolphins. Dalvin Cook's been cut. Anything like that. Because anytime after June 1st, they can move on from him and save that money. They want to do right by the player, but the teams I've talked to believe that he'll be in a new uniform via trade or release, and there should be a market for his services. Now, I'm told that he loves Minnesota, but he's open to a fresh start, and Miami could be an intriguing option. They've been linked to Cook in recent months. Cook was linked to the Dolphins around the time the NFL draft, but no deal was made. Miami also drafted Texas A&M Devon Achane and added him to a running back group with a ton of people. Still, the chance to add Cook as a free agent, if the Vikings do release him, would surely be an intriguing one for the Dolphins and others. After all, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler who has surpassed 1,100 rushing yards in each of the last 4 seasons. Again, people have said to me, adding Dalvin Cook, well, who cares? We don't need him. 4-time Pro Bowler who has rushed for over 1,100 rushing yards of the last 4 seasons. So the last 4 years, he has over 1,100 rushing yards. When was the last time the Dolphins had a 1,000-yard rusher? I'll let you look it up, and you're going to be sad. While he underwent shoulder surgery this offseason, he appeared in all 17 games during the 2022 campaign and will presumably be healthy for the 2023 season. From Minnesota's perspective, carrying such a significant cap hit at running back would be a concern. This is especially the case when it has a quality backup in Alexander Mattison, who has proven himself to be capable number one option when Cook is sidelined. Opposing defenses also can't stack the box against the run with Justin Jefferson on the outside, which means Mattison should have plenty of space to exploit the top option in 2023. For now, Cook remains one of the last realistic possibilities for notable. Cook remains one of the last realistic possibilities for a notable player to change teams this offseason, and it seems he will inevitably be on the way out, even if the Vikings haven't yet made a move. So again, don't expect that the Dolphins, once June 1st comes, Dalvin Cook is cut, really is traded, and Dolphins going after him. Because it might not be in that instant. It might not be that, quick. Because it doesn't need to be. But he is down with Nick Hicks, and he is training. I've showed you. But he's worked with Nick Hicks for the past, 4 or 5 years, so that's nothing new. But I will say this, and I've said this over and over again. Would I want Dalvin Cook on the Miami Dolphins? You would be stupid not to want him on the Miami Dolphins. Over 1,100 rushing yards the past 4 years. Yes, of course I would want him on the Miami Dolphins. Do I think he's coming to the Miami Dolphins? I think it all is about the cheddar. I think it's about money. I think if he is willing to take a certain contract that the Dolphins are offering, they would be very happy with grabbing him and building. I think, honestly, this all comes down to Mike McDaniel, because you saw how happy he was when they drafted Devon Achane, and you saw how sad he was when they drafted Cam Smith. I think this is all about what Mike McDaniel wants, and I think Mike McDaniel is thinking to himself, I would love Dalvin Cook on this team. And again, I'll say this one last time. The way that the Dolphins structured the contracts of the 4 running backs they brought back, they can move any of them and save a buttload of money. So they don't think, the Dolphins brought back all 4 of their running backs. Why would they do it? They structured their contracts a certain way, knowing that they might move on from them. Again, the Dolphins tried to trade for Dalvin Cook. The Dolphins and the Vikings couldn't come to a compensation. They said, okay, no problem. Went and brought back all 4 of their running backs from last year, but they gave them certain contracts with outs in them for this offseason. Gave certain outs. And then they kept looking over at the Vikings going, we brought him back. We don't want Dalvin. We don't know. DeAndre Swift, do you want to make a trade? Screw it, Eagles. No, we don't. Telling you. But again, It all comes down to the semantics. It all comes down to who wants what and where and that. So if I had to give you a percentage of the possibility of him coming to not coming, I'd say I'm sitting at about 40-60. 40% he probably is going to be here. 60 he might not. Because I don't know the semantics. I don't know contracts and what he wants and what the Vikings want. But all I know is there's a lot of flipping, flapping smoke for there not to be some type of fire for Dalvin Cook's connection with the Miami Dolphins. That's all I'm saying. And I would be ecstatic. Just imagine that. You got Dalvin Cook in the backfield, right? And you got the wide receivers we have. That offense, and I know our right tackle position is hot garbage right now because we don't know what's going on there. But you got Dalvin Cook. You cannot drop your receivers. You cannot drop your running backs and try to do what the defenses did to the Dolphins last year where, okay, we're going to protect the middle of the field. We're going to give you the underneath because we got Dalvin Cook now. You need to at least keep some of the guys, bring a safety into the box, do something. Oh, I'm getting too excited and I'm setting myself up for failure if they don't get him, but it's very intriguing if Dalvin Cook becomes a Miami Dolphin. That's what I'm going to say. Another name, Cedric Wilson Jr. We've talked about him. Everyone's talked about him ad nauseum. He seems like an odd man out, right? They bring in Chosen Anderson. They got Braxton Berrios. They still got Eric Uzukoma. They still got a lot of players, wide receivers. They got a ton of wide receivers on the roster right now. Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Braxton Berrios, Robbie Anderson, Eric Uzukoma, Freddie Swan, River Craycraft, Braylon Sanders, Chris Coleman, Dawood Davis. They got a lot of wide receivers on the roster right now. And if the Miami Dolphins were to just flat out cut Cedric Wilson Jr. at any point, they'd only save about $2 million. But if they were to trade him at any point after June 1st, they'd save $7 million. So all of a sudden you'd be sitting at $19.3 million if they traded him. Right? So there's that. Those are the things that I'm talking about, right? Bringing depth at defensive tackle. You heard what Omar Kelly had to say. Dalvin Cook situation, probably a pass-catching tight end. Will they start to address the offensive line more? I don't think so. I think they're happy with the two guys they brought in and Oboihi? I wrote his name down, but it's on a different page. And then Tyler Wynn. So there's that. And then Cedric Wilson. But then there's also some other things that need to get done, right? Extensions. Now, extensions also can give us more cap space. Christian Wilkins. That man needs an extension. You can't let him hit free agency next year. Now, it's kind of becoming a little bit more difficult as we sit back and we start to see more defensive tackles getting extensions, and it's like the contracts are ridiculous, like $25 million, $21 million a year, and it's like the money per year to me needs to equal the production. Now, I'm not saying Christian Wilkins isn't, he doesn't produce. He does. To me, every year he keeps getting better. But is it that top notch? Is it that like Aaron Donald-ish or any of these guys that are getting these is it on that same par is what you need to think to yourself. But if the Dolphins can work out some type of contract extension with him, and you saw the video I showed yesterday, he's not worried about that. He's trying to get better, wants the team to win. He's letting his agents deal with that. He's right now a $10.7 million cap hit this year. If they could restructure his contract and put more years on it, maybe 2-3 more years on it, they can lower that cap hit this year and again put more money into potentially getting a defensive tackle, getting Dalvin Cook, getting anything else that they might possibly need as they're sitting there looking at OTAs and seeing who might be struggling where and this and that. There's also Connor Williams. Connor Williams, transition to center has been really good. Again, the snap issues worried me, but it wasn't. And I'm at the point now where it's not as worrisome as it has been, especially because now he's getting more time at center. But $8.3 million cap hit this year. They give him a contract extension because he's a free agent next year. They can lower that cap number. add a few more years on, maybe 2 more years, lower the cap number. Boom, said that out. Zach Sealer, another guy, is going to be free agent next year. He's only making $3.2 million. Add more onto that. And then Raekwon Davis is going to be a free agent. But again, he's another situation where his production has been kind of stagnant. You know, like you see players like Jalen Phillips, like Javon Holland, Christian Wilkins. You see these guys who every year, Tua Tagovailoa, consistently getting better every year. Raekwon Davis is kind of plateaued, right? It's kind of the same thing over. So to me, I think that the top candidates for contract extension on the Dolphins right now is Christian Wilkins and Connor Williams. I think those two guys need to get their contract extension, and then by doing that, you might save almost like $10 million in cap space. And then the final thing I want to talk about is you're probably going to want to carry about $8 million in cap space into the season or carry it over to next year, because you don't know. You need that emergency fund. You break the glass, God forbid. And I'm not going to say what God forbid, but you might need that emergency fund. So there's a lot that's going to happen. But again, I want to reiterate, it's not going to happen like that. It's not going to be free agents frenzy. It's not going to be the tampering period where all of a sudden names are flying. So-and-so is going here and so-and-so is doing that. So-and-so this and that. You might hear a few names getting cut like crazy. Or, okay, the Dolphins money's now active, and okay, the Dolphins might do this, and there's rumors of this, and like DeAndre Hopkins, right? There's already rumors of Buffalo or Kansas City. Buffalo doesn't have the money to potentially, if it's the same thing with the Dolphins and Cook that it is with DeAndre Hopkins and the Bills. For DeAndre Hopkins to want to play with Buffalo, he has to not want to be a very well-paid wide receiver, because they have a lot of money in different areas of that team, especially you got Stephon Diggs. Same thing with Dalvin Cook. If Dalvin Cook wants to come to Miami, they're not going to throw a $6-7 million contract at him. Probably give him about $4 or $5 million, give him 2 years. First year probably has certain guarantees. Second year has an out. That's how the Dolphins run. That's how they did it with Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert. That's how they did it with most of these guys. So it's going to be interesting. But like I said, news breaks. I'll get it to you tomorrow. I hope you guys like that video. Like I said, I will see you guys tomorrow. And if you like it, hit that subscribe button, because fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but about 31.1% of the people who watch are not subscribed, where 68.9% are subscribers. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button if you like what you see. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, like I said, June 1st, and then Friday, I got another video for you guys. Friday is going to be the last OTAs. Then Monday and Tuesday, I think, if my memory is correct, is mandatory mini camps, and then they're gone. And that's when I start doing my camp battles. So we got a lot of content. So again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, you like what you see, hit it. If not, that's cool. I might not be for everyone, but I appreciate you watching. Like usual, stay classy and fins up.